Join me back in the garage today and we're fitting a dbMoto tail tidy to a Yamaha MT 125. So I'll show you what comes in the box and I'll show you how I go about fitting it to the back end of the MT. Hopefully it will neaten up the back end lovely, bring the number plate back up under the seat. So without further ado, let's see what comes in the box. So here we go, this is the actual tail tidy unit. Fantastically made piece of kit. I've got dbMotos on the S1000R as well. So this is the tail unit. Get a little instruction manual, and then in this little packet you've got the LED number plate light, collection of table ties, the obligatory MOT safe reflector, and then the 3 bolts that mount it with some spacing washers and brackets, a little grommet for the wires goes on here, and then some bullet connectors to enable the number plate light to work. So put them to one side for now, because the first job I've got to remove a lot of panelling and bits and bobs off the MT to be able to fit this to the bike. So without further ado, let's get on with that. Right, and so the first job's going to be to take the seats off. So this one, just take off with the key the main driver's seat. Pop this over here out of the way. The rear seat has got a little plug there. Just slide it out. And then using a 12mm socket, there's a bolt inside you just undo. Keep hold of that, you don't want to lose that. And then the passenger seat just slides forward. Job done. There we go, so that's now off. Right, next job, using the Allen key. Just got to go around and remove all these trims. Remove all these little bolts and the 2 big ones here to remove these 2 trims. Right, so once you've removed all these bolts, these side panels just slide off. Really well made piece of kit. So put these somewhere safe out the way. Right, so I've removed them side panels now, so it gives us some better access. Now we can actually look at the tail unit itself. So we've got the standard indicators on here. We'll remove them later on the bench and transfer them to the new tail tidy. This is held on up here by 3 10mm bolts. I shall just show you. 1, 2, 3, just up there. So you need 10mm spanner on them, then you disconnect them. So we'll just get in here. We'll loosen all these off. Right, so I've just removed the last one and now supporting it. And then we can lower it down now. So these are the wiring connectors here. So I've disconnected the black, disconnected the green, and then here is a white one that just pinches together. So that's all the wiring connectors off. And then this is connected to the tail tidy unit itself. There's a cable tie holding that still. So we'll just snip that up the way. There's my side cutters. There. So we've now got the tail tidy removed from the MT. So next job is to transfer these to the new tail tidy, which will involve removing these Allen keys here to get the wires out of under here. So let's go on with that. So back on the bench, this is the tail tidy unit, and as you can see, these wires go into this grommet all the way up here to the correct lights. So we need to remove 1, 2, 3, 4 Allen keys to get this cover off, which will then release the wires and I can transfer it to the new tail tidy unit. So let's get on with that. then removed, this should now lift out. Nope, wrong. There's another two on the other side below the reflector. I take it Yamaha didn't want any of this to come off. This is very well put together, isn't it? I'm going to keep these bolts separate to the other bolts because the other bolts are for the fairings on the bike. This is purely for the tail unit. And when the job's finished, I'll put all these back on the tail unit. So it keeps this together, should the bike ever want to be sold, and we can remove the tail tidy and keep it. So, little clip. So very nice, very well made. Keeps all the wires neat and tidy inside there, if you can see that. So next job, now we've got that apart, with a couple of cable ties to snip out.
What's the current AC/DC like? Have ticket reselling sites been bad? How big are mobile phones now? Yeah, we can ask all of these things.
So that now releases all the wires. So we can pull this wiring connectors through the grommet. So there's the wiring connectors. Right, so we've disconnected all the wiring. We've now got to remove the indicators, which in here, there's a bolt and then an Allen key there. So, nope.
Available at participating retailers while stocks last. Personal contract hire on Corsa Griffin 3-door 1.475 PS. Subject
Right,
to
that's correct.
Fees 18 plus. Initial rental 159 for 47 months at 159. Contractor mileage 20.
So it's a 10mm spanner and an Allen key required for this job. Just crack them off. And we use these to reconnect them to the new tail tidy. So just keep that safe for now, and these should just plop off. There we go. So if we put that upside down as well, the correct way. Slide your wiring connector out. So now we've got the indicator free, complete with wiring connector, which we can connect to the other one. So it's exactly the same process for the other side. So I'll catch up with you in a moment. Right, now we're fitting the original indicators onto the tail tidy. So I've put it on a little towel so I don't scratch the powder coating. So this was the indicator that came off this side, if you remember. So we feed the wiring in. Make sure it's facing the correct way. There's a little lug on there. I don't know if you can see that very clearly. Just put it up to the camera. See that little tab? That hooks on that part of the tail tidy there, and then the bolt goes on that side, and it just fits nice and neat. So I'll put that in there. And use the original fittings for this. So that's the indicator fitted on this side. Very impressive. I think even the standard indicators on this MT are really nice looking. So we've got to do the other side now. No point showing you that, it's exactly the same. So we'll catch up with you in a moment. So there we go, that's both sides on. I'll just show you that. There we go, fantastic. So up here now, we've got to fit that new number plate light. Then we've traced the wires through, and then we can neaten all this up underneath. So that's the next job. Again in the packet, the number plate light came in here. Comes complete with its mounting bolts. Spin them off. So the wiring feeds through that centre hole there, like so. It's got a bit of heat shrink on this, and then the two studs go through the other two holes. And that's it. It mounts on like so. So flip it over. Starting to get a load of wires now, which is good. I'll be able to neaten that up in a moment. And you just thread the two nuts on. you in the doorway. Right, so that's all them nipped up. Lovely. So, next job, we've got to sort this little bundle of wires out. So we've got a grommet to fit now. Just put a little smear of washing up liquid around the edge, because it helps it go in a lot better. Fits in this hole here. So we just pop that in, and this is ready for the wires to be accepted when they go back into the bike, just to waterproof the hole really. So dbMoto have thought of everything here. So we give that a run round. There we go. Very nice and tidy. Right, so now we've got to feed these connectors through the grommet, ready to be fitted to the bike. Right. So in turn, one by one, you need to feed these connectors through the grommet. It's a little bit fiddly this bit, but they go through. See? Pop that through the grommet. And there we go. I've left the number plate light till last, wiring wise, because you can just poke that through. So now we've got the wires all neatly through the grommet, we're going to use some cable ties. dbMoto provide on their tail tidy, they drill holes. There's a light, there we are. Two there, two here, and it's just so you can gather the wiring up together in the correct location. So, time for a little bit of neatening up with a cable tie. You don't want these to be tight, you want them to be quite loose, so they've got freedom to move really. So we'll just nip that one there. See that? Just there, nice and easy. So time for the next one as well. Another cable tie. You can get them down nice and tight, snip off the ends. Essentially, that is your finished unit. Nice little LED light, number plate goes back on here, won't be showing you that. Standard indicators back on, which means then I've got the standard connectors for the indicators. The only connector I need to sort out now is a number plate light. And what I'm going to do with this, I'm going to put the bullet connectors in the circuit, which we have 4 of. And I'm going to connect them to the original wiring, so I've got the original wiring connector in the bike to make life totally easier. Right then, so we've got the original connector with 2 wires on the end. We need to connect these to the tail tidy lights, but first off, obviously you've got to strip back a little bit of these. So just give these a little spin up, make them neat. And then we're going to crimp some of the bullet connectors on the end of this. Right, so using the crimping tool, as you can see here, there is 3 colours on it. Yellow, blue, red at the top. So it's the red ones we need. We're just going to crimp these bullet connectors. Right, we've now crimped the original wiring connector with some bullet connectors. So, when this goes back in the bike, you can just slot straight back in. We now need to do exactly the same process on the new tail tidy unit, the tail light wires. and fit the female end of the bullet connector. Exactly the same, connect it up, job done. So there we go, they're all reconnected. So now what we're going to do is plug these in. The light will not work if these are the wrong way around, so don't go taping things up at this stage and making sure everything's secure, because you need to make sure they work first. Oh, you're stiff. Right, so we're now going to just plug this into the wiring connector, turn the ignition on, make sure it works. So there's the wiring connector there, the white one, just clipped it back together. Flick the ignition on, and as you can see we have no tail light, so we'll swap these round and then it should work. So there we are, successful, tail light works. So that's essentially the tail unit all done. I'm going to put some insulation tape over these, then bind them together so it creates like a little mini loom. Then I'm going to feed this lot up into the bike, bolt it back on, happy days. So let's get on with that. Right, so let's take the tail tidy back over to the bike and we can feed the wiring up through the hole under the seat unit. I'll just reach above and just grab the plugs as they come through. I'm not going to do these up for now, I'll clip them up in a bit. Let's get it mounted first, save messing about. So there's the wiring connectors, they're all coming through. That's a little bit stiff for that one because I've taped it all together. Right, so it's all through. That's going to look a lot better, that is. Oh, fantastic. It goes like really close up to the bike, that does. Right, so we've now got the 3 bolts to do up. Right then, so we've now got to attach this to the bike. According to the instructions, you have a washer and the bolt, and there's a black spacer which goes on this side of the tail tidy, between the tail tidy and the bike. So I found that easier just to thread it up, find where she lives, just give it a couple of turns so you know it's in roughly the right place. It gives you space to do the others as well. See these here, 1, 2, 3, I'm doing these up with the Allen key. And then when we're happy they're tight, that is tail tidy fitted. Right, so that's the tail unit, screwed back onto the back of the bike. Lovely, that's really secure as well. Quite impressed with this dbMoto tail tidy. So now we're back in here, and we're going to put the wiring connectors back in. So, pretty simple, green to green, white to white, black to black. Now before we put this rubber sheath back over the top of these and check that's all correct, let's check they're all correct. So ignition on. As you can see, number plate lights on. We've not affected the rear unit, so we'll just double check these indicators. Left. Look at that. Just check the front one as well, so we're not messed with the circuit. Right, that's on. Try the right. I can see the front one's flashing. And the rear one's flashing. So that basically is it. So that's how I go about fitting a dbMoto tail tidy to an MT 125 Yamaha. Really well made piece of kit, quite impressed. Check them out, I bought this one on eBay. Not massively overpriced, quite reasonable for a decent powder coated bit of kit. Very simple to fit. I've probably made it look really difficult though. But that's it. All that remains for me to do now is put the 2 side panels back on here, neaten these wires up, and that's job done. So, thanks very much for watching. See you again on another one. Ta-ra for now.